option. Okay, so thanks so much for being here, everyone. We might have a few more people join in person, but since we have a few people online too, we'll just go ahead and start the conversation. I'm Anna Cott, Sustainability Planner with East West Gateway Council of Governments, and we also help coordinate 1STL, our regional collaborative sustainability initiative for the bi-state St. Louis region. And we are so fortunate to have three speakers here today talking with us about solar projects that they've worked on, and savings that they've seen or modeled savings. So we have Mayor Brian K. Jackson from the city of Beverly Hills, which has installed solar on their city hall. Susan Zara, I'm so sorry. Zara from Forsyth Elementary, and Darian Wigfall from St. Paul's Church was unable to make it. So yesterday, Justin Eidelberg stepped in and is able to share about work that he's done modeling and looking into energy projects and solar for Monument of Faith Church. So very grateful to have them all here today. And these sustainability labs are monthly, always the last Tuesday of the month, hybrid on person or in person or on Zoom. And afterwards in person, we reconvene at T-Rex's bar to have some networking. And our next month's lab will be a discussion with our environmental justice technical assistance centers for EPA Region 5 and 7. They can provide assistance in locating grants for environmental justice concerns. So very glad to talk with them from the Environmental Protection Network and Metropolitan Congregations United. So that is October 29th. And you can subscribe to our newsletter for updates about the lab. And let's see. Oh, I guess I have to move the slides forward on this computer. I had a few slides about cost savings, but I do want to let Justin talk more about that, and I'll just fill in anything left at the end, but did just want to share this graph showing how the cost of solar has declined over time. So as we're talking about projects that were done a few years ago, it seems that solar is just getting more affordable. So I just wanted to mention that, and we'll go ahead and start with the first presentation. Okay, thank you. Or you can pass the laptop down, either way.
Oh, it wasn't long enough.
Oh, here, we can switch it.
Matter?
It should be fine without power.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Hi, my name is Susan Zara. I don't know where to look.
I know.
They're on the screen. But I teach sixth grade at Forsyth School, and I also teach and collaborate with teachers on sustainability from 3rd to 6th grade at our school. So I support teachers in those grade levels. I've been at Forsyth. This is my 25th year teaching there. That's great. So just a little bit of information about our school in case you don't know where it is. It was founded in 1961, so we're over 60 years old. We're an independent school, so we're tuition based, and we're located right near WashU and Forest Park, those are both really wonderful resources that we have in our backyard. You can see the picture of our campus, part of our campus on this slide, and there are solar panels. They're on top of our gym, because that was the building that had the largest surface area, and it also had a roof that was conducive to attaching solar panels, because most of our houses are slate roofs, and that's a lot more expensive to install. Our enrollment, we have about 385 children this year, and we serve ages 2 up to 6th grade. So they graduate from Forsyth. I'm lucky enough to be with them. So how this all started actually was a student idea back in 2011. We do projects in 6th grade math where the kids try to create like an architectural structure, a green home. And one of the projects, one of the students was designing her green home, and she said, well, Mrs. Zara, do you think we could actually get solar panels at Forsyth? And I said, well, I think that's a wonderful idea. Let's look into it. So this was when it was, you know, a little bit different, maybe the way solar panels were leased or set up, but we looked into it. It was a year-long process with my facility director, Michael Mitchell, and he and I visited different schools and different places and talked to a lot of different solar companies about the most economical way for Forsyth to do it. And so in the end, we chose a leasing option because there was no upfront cost. And that way we could just pay our monthly lease and then have the savings, which I'm going to show in a minute. So in the fall 2012, we installed a 25 kilowatt system. There's a picture of the people putting it on, and each of the panels has their own micro inverter. So if one panel goes out, the other panels all still are working. And we have 105 of them. You know what? This has a message on here.
Yeah, I would do later. Just to confirm, everyone online can hear us okay, right? Can anyone message in the chat to confirm you can hear us? Can hear just fine. Perfect. Thank you.
Wonderful. So this is a report that's generated by our solar panel company. And so we started back in 2013. That was the first year we had a full year. And at the bottom of each of these columns is about 34 megawatt hours. And so if you look at the bottom, that they all were pretty consistently at about 34. And then now 2018 to 2022, they've gone down a little bit, but they've maintained a lot of the production. So we're really happy with that. And you can maybe see that there was one blip here, and I'm going to talk about that in a minute, where there was 0. And I'm going to tell a little story about what happened there. So I put together this spreadsheet of our cost analysis from the prior year, looking at the Ameren bills. And so we actually, on the website I was showing you a minute ago, you can tell how much solar is produced each month. And then I calculated based on the Ameren rate for that month per kilowatt hour. So we could figure out, by having solar, how much did we produce, how much solar production did that save us? And then additionally, we have so much solar being produced at some points that we actually can give solar back to the grid. So we get credit for that as well. And so then I calculated our credits. And so on the right-hand column, you can see basically per month about how much money, or exactly how much money we saved. And then, so for 1 year, it was about $4,000. Our lease annually costs about $2,000. So each month, or each year, I should say, we're saving about $2,000 a year, which is about $20,000 for the first 10 years. And our lease is a 20-year lease. So we anticipate about a $40,000 savings, which may not seem huge, but
You're muted if you're speaking.
Wait, leave that laptop muted.
The
Okay.
screen now.
Okay, everyone can hear okay now?
Yes.
Sorry about that. We lost power to one of the laptops here. So do you need Susan to repeat any of the last slide?
No, I think I'm good. Right.
Okay.
and then, so the energy benchmarking is helping us keep track of the energy we're using so we can keep working on our conservation efforts. The students, a couple of years ago, we've been taking part in the Green Schools Quest over many years, and as well as the Missouri Green Schools efforts. And so through that, the kids had to turn out the lights campaign. So students made signs for all the classrooms. They had little jingles, songs to help remember to turn out the lights. So that was really cute. And then this past school year, our whole school participated in professional development around whole school sustainability. So everyone in our whole faculty and staff, everybody in all departments have been involved in helping with making our school more efficient, more sustainable as much as we can. So one of the connections, I use it in math class, is we talk about graphing. And as you can see that graph in May of 2021, there was like a blip, right? So it went down and there was no solar being produced. Well, we were looking at our solar panel data for math, and one of the students asked, well, Mrs. Zara, how come we haven't had any production in whatever it was, like August, September? And I was like, I don't know, let me check on that. And so we looked, and what happened was Ameren had changed out the meter for the building, and they had to turn off the solar power so no one would get electrocuted. And then after they changed the meter, they forgot to turn the solar power back on. So it was actually off for about a little over a month. And so had we not, done this in math class, I don't know how long it would have gone. I mean, our facilities director does check these things periodically too, but it was like, hey, I mean, I still remember the kid's name who found that out. I was like, good for you. Let's turn it back on, shall we? So there are lots of different graphs that can be generated from our provider. This is the project I was talking about where the students design a green home. The big picture is one of the houses has very elaborate roof. And we talk about surface area, and we talk about all the costs of houses, and we also talk about sustainability. And so then at the end of their project, we set their houses all up to form a neighborhood. And so which direction do the solar panels have to face? In the northern hemisphere, south. So they set up their homes in these little neighborhoods, and they're all south facing, and then they get, look, my neighbor, look, it's real cute because
Could be east-west also.
well, it's true, but in optimal for our buildings at Forsyth, we have them facing south, so. All right, and then some other connections, that just hands-on learning. The kids have made solar cars that they've shared with their little friends, and then they get a big kick out of that, like, oh, well, if I'm facing this way, why isn't it going? And then the kids get the idea, like, oh, the solar panels have to be facing the sunshine, and then if it's a rainy day, obviously we can't do that activity, so there's all kinds of learning going on. Another thing with the graph too, we look at the highs and the lows and what part of year are we getting the most energy. And so we can talk about the length of day and the amount of sunlight. And so some of those conversations about, does it have to do with temperature? Does it have to do, what are the variables that allow us to maximize our solar production? And then we have a 4th grade camping trip that the kids design solar ovens to make s'mores. So we can do that as part of our experience. So anyway, I guess if there might be time for questions at the very end, or if people have questions now, I don't know how you want to do that.
Should we do questions at the end? Do you think?
Or let's do a couple now.
Oh, okay.
Who do you have the lease with, or who's the holder of the lease?
So I don't remember. Brightergy was our original contractor, which I think they then were sold years ago. So I don't know that off the top of my head. I'm sorry.
Okay, so it's not with Ameren.
It's not with Ameren. It's with an outside company who then they're the ones who also service the solar panels, and they contract with people in town. I think it's actually somebody out of town now. Like it used to be a St. Louis company, but I believe they're out of California. And I think it's Global something, but I don't remember the name of it. I'm sorry.
Okay, and the credits, I thought we couldn't do that in Missouri. Is there?
Well, I spoke on the phone with a gentleman from Ameren for a while because I thought I was in the same understanding, and he was like, no, you're giving, I mean, it shows up. So like the kilowatt hours for our building that these are attached to, and then there's the credit, and then the amount we're being billed is lower. And
it's a net metering law that was
so,
passed in 2007, I believe, that made the huge difference because before it was like 1/10 of the price. If it's a small system, then you can amortize over annual basis and use the credits at a different time frame in the season.
So we are allowed net metering in Missouri. It's just
Correct.
capped according to some.
It's depending on what the tariff is. So this is probably a smaller sized system. The smaller systems you can annualize. And the larger systems that have demand on them, typically they go away, any overproduction goes away in 30 days. Generally, that's how it works.
Okay, great.
So I was pleasantly surprised to know that we were getting credits.
Yeah.
So,
Any challenge with tying this into state standards?
so we're a private school.
Oh, yeah.
And, but, you know, math, graphing is part of my sixth grade curriculum. And then we have an engineering kind of a class program. So, problem solving, critical thinking, you know, so it's not necessarily like a common core state standard in terms of, you know, math, science specific, but like overarching skills that we feel like are also being taught. And so
And was that part of the whole school kind of sustainability lessoning? So part of the Green School Quest,
right.
was it also how to determine the relationship between, I'll say standards and sustainability related topics, since that's kind of a traditional source of content?
So our sixth graders are generally the leaders of the Green Schools Quest. And I would say it's almost like an extra outside of class. I mean, it's tied into our curriculum, but they also do things like during recess, or we have elective classes. So, you know, our schedule allows us some flexibility to pursue sustainability related topics. And I mean, I know there are sustainability curricula out there for every grade level, and there are lessons and things that like some school districts are really buying into around the United States. And we're feeling like we're getting there in terms of tying in with state standards slash, you know, sustainability standards. So, I mean, we definitely feel like it's part of our, and actually in one of the first slides, it's one of the foundational themes of our school. So belonging, challenge, innovation, and sustainability. So it's a big goal for our school in general. And, you know, a lot of this does tie in with math too, because you can do calculations in all different, it's like a hands-on real life application.
Yeah.
So,
It's great.
yeah, thank you.
Thank
Any
you
other
so much.
questions?
I'll share this. I'm a fan of your work. I'm a neighbor of yours.
Oh, you are?
I live in the West End, not the Central West End.
Okay.
So on my journey to the camp, to WashU's campus, you know, I see the great traffic of parents dropping off.
Oh, yes.
But it's even more like I don't know anybody and I don't want to be a creep. Like, hey, I'm here for the solar panel. They look at me strange, sir. How do you know any of this? You know, but nevertheless, I'm happy to meet you.
Thank you.
One of my former positions, I used to be the chair of our local United Nations Sustainable Development
Oh,
Goals.
yeah.
And I want to figure out how to create a network. Like I have a proposal to work with the schools,
Yes.
and I want to bring both sides together, but we can talk about all this later.
Well,
I just love what.
And did you present at Principia School?
Mhm.
So I was a part of that online in 2021, maybe.
Uh-huh.
So we also talk about curriculum, the UN Sustainable Development Goals, our sixth grade. That's one of our major, and like you probably saw in the picture too, global citizenship is at the top of our house. And so absolutely, yeah, let's keep talking.
I love to.
Yeah, thank you.
Thank you. I
For sure.
love what y'all exposing the kids to. They
Thank
need this.
Thank you. Thank you very much.
And we do have a question online too. About what percentage of energy used by the school is covered by your solar production during the school year versus summer?
Okay, that's a really, really good question. So it's about 25% of the energy on that one building. So we have 6 buildings on our campus. So it's, you know, a small percentage really of all the buildings. This is the biggest building and it's the gym. So it does have you know, a lot of air conditioning and lights, but it's only 25% of that particular building. And then I don't know exactly, I mean, that's annualized. So I don't exactly know summer months versus winter months, but I would say overall it's about 25%. What happens at the end of the 20-year lease? Great question. We get to keep the solar panels. So then but we also have to take on the maintenance too. So that's the flip side.
And that's probably near end of life for the panels themselves too.
Well, that's what,
25-year is the module warranty. Lifetime expectancy is 30 to 50.
So it could be longer. And I actually talked to our facilities director about this because it's like we're kind of halfway through. And he said that he's thinking like as they come to end of life or come to the end of our lease, we'll decide, do we want to upgrade them to a more efficient system or keep them on and just all the money, we don't have to pay the lease anymore monthly. So there'll be even more financial benefit, assuming they still work well.
Awesome.
Okay.
Well, thank you so
Thank
much,
you.
Susan.
Sure.
And maybe we should plug that in just so another
Right.
laptop doesn't die on us.
Yeah. Thank you. I think it's over
Aside.
here.
Is it on?
Yeah.
Okay.
Maybe the one, there we go.
Yes.
Hopefully it should
Yeah,
work.
go to the next.
too. Yep, okay.
So we just starting up,
Yeah.
we just going from one person?
Oh, yes, if that's
Oh.
okay.
Good evening, everybody. Everybody that's on live stream and everybody in here in the room with us. I'm not gonna be as exciting as forthright.
I don't know about that.
But, as a disclaimer, government is always boring anyway, so. So you can just take it for that. But, I'm Mayor Brian K. Jackson, City of Beverly Hills, Chair of 24/1 Municipal Partnerships. That's 22 cities in one school district, the Normandy School District. Our city hall also houses a Beverly Hills Pharmacy. Beverly Hills Pharmacy has been in that building, which was an old medical building. They've been in that building since 1969. So they've been our tenant for a number of years. When we took over the lower part of the building for City Hall. A few years, about 2 years before we started this project of renovating City Hall, a young lady came into my office. Well, she called first and asked, could she meet with me? She came into my office and she asked, what are some of the things that I was trying to do? And one of the things that I was trying to do, I pulled this piece of paper out of my desk drawer that I had drew about 4 years before. I use this because I say you always have to have a vision for what you want. And even though our city is a small city and we don't have money in the budget to renovate City Hall, I still drew out what I wanted and what I wanted to do. So when I showed it to her, she said, can I help you with that? And she said, and I was telling her about, I wanted to put solar, I wanted to, make it, do as much energy efficient things in the building as I could. And she said, can I help you with that? Young lady's name was Hillary Ogurinde, Next Gen Industries. And so she and I started working. She brought in a company by the name of GRP Wegman. And together we did some amazing things. I loved working with GRP Wegman. They went about to look at, they told me something that was available to me in Missouri. They came from Illinois, told me something that was available to me in Missouri that none of the people that I support up in Jeff City had told me anything about. And that was the pro forma contract that we could do to get some of this done, deferred maintenance, and then some added revenue, because we would then have a community space that we could actually rent out to the public, and it would also generate income. And so we went about to make this project actually happen, and we worked hand in hand, looking at our budget. What are some of the things that we could do? Because of how we did it, being a part of Ameren UE's Bid Saver, we got money from there. Actually, we got 5,000 and 4,000 from them. We work with Straight Up Solar and Balance Solar, and ended up getting a system, and then they bought the system back from us, so we don't pay a lease on the system. It was paid for, and then that money came back, and then they bought the system back from us. And so, we just own the system now. And so that worked out for us. But that's our building. That was the General GRP Wegman. The pharmacy is upstairs. About 30 people are up there every day, 25 employees, a couple nurses, about 3 or 4 pharmacists are up there, but they have a whole call center up there. Our police go through there. Our clerks are in there. We have events in the event space downstairs. And you'll know why that's significant in just a little bit. This is the old city hall. It was an old doctor's office. And that's the way it stayed. That's how they operated out of it. It was an old doctor's office that they made a makeshift clerks area where you see, and the clerks at the time wanted to paint it lavender. I don't know why the mayor at the time, I wasn't the mayor, I was the board president. The mayor said, y'all can paint the office whatever color y'all want. Be careful of telling your employees. Do
It's a nice color.
Yeah. Yeah, so, we started the process, and what you see is a before and after picture of some of the stuff. You see some of the construction that went on. GRP Wegman was an amazing company because everything was in-house. Everybody that came was GRP Wegman, from the electricians to the plumbers to the HVAC to the carpenters, everybody that came, project manager, architect, everybody was out of GRP Wegman. You didn't have to go chasing down another contractor for nothing or anything like that. Anything you needed, it was right there, and they was on point every time. This is the old, this is the kitchen that the employees use, and it's not really a kitchen, it's actually a laboratory that they used as a kitchen for many years. You'll see some of the stuff there where they used to, some of the stuff that from the doctor's office that is there. That little square you see in the upper right-hand corner, that was actually where they did x-rays. That was the chief of police's office. And so we operated out of that building for many years. I've been in Beverly Hills for 35 years. And they were in that building when I moved there. And it shows the before and after. This is our kitchen area now, and it's almost in the same space, but it's more of an open concept before and after. That was the only bathroom for the employees to use. That bathroom right there. And so you see some before and after of the bathroom, and how we put in the bathroom and how we used all water conserving appliances. And because of what we did as far as using all the water conserving appliances, our water bill, and that includes the pharmacy upstairs, is only $41 to $46 a month. Our city halls, that building's water bill is actually lower than my house's.
Yeah.
Wow.
My house water bill. I guess nobody's taking a shower at City Hall, so maybe that, I tell my wife, those long showers gotta stop. But this is some of the demolition. We had to get rid of we had to get asbestos out of the building. There was asbestos in the tile, asbestos in the joints of the wallboard, asbestos in the ceiling. The pipes was wrapped in asbestos. You have to realize this building has been there since the 50s. And so we had that stopped our project for a little while, where we had to get the asbestos done before we could do the demolition. The demolition, even though it looks like chaos, it went really quick. These young men, they came in. We made sure that it was, that we used women, that we used minorities, that all people, that's one of the things that I've always stressed, that it's enough work in St. Louis County for everybody to get work. And so a woman-owned demolition company did the demo. and a Black-owned abatement company did the asbestos, and GRP Wegman, they did all of the construction. And so everybody, all people, all faces, I always want women involved because they're smarter than us. No, I'm just kidding. But this is some of the other, as I cycle through some of that, that was some of what they, some of the demo. This is some of the process as they went through, some of the construction. And just going through the process, everything was, all the material, everything that was done was used with an energy efficient idea in mind. This space, our space is so insulated that we actually can cool the community room. And as long as we don't open the outer doors back and forth, that room will stay cool for up to 3 days. It'll stay cool, it'll stay cool, and it'll really stay cool in the bathrooms because there's no windows. But we used some really nice flooring that helped us to maintain our idea of what we wanted to do, touchless things in the bathroom. These are all custom-made cabinets, the laminate on them, you won't find them in any store. That's some of my matching. I went and matched that up for them to put that up, but that's the dais. It was a custom-made dais, and all custom-made. We didn't get our, what you don't see is the windows. We have a very nice window in there. It's a thermal window. You can actually put your hand on it in the summertime and you won't even feel the heat from the outside. The thermal windows that went in there, but we ended up having to wait on those windows because that's when the supply chain shortage was. We waited on those windows 38 weeks. It took them 38 weeks to get the windows. I remember talking to the man one time and he said, right now they still out to sea. This is a wall curtain that they took down, and then to get to the honey spot, these are the solar panels that they put on the roof, the system that they put in. And it's because of this system, Ameren was impressed with what we did. It's not something that they want to replicate all over St. Louis County, but they were so impressed with what we did. They put in a whole new pole for us, 3 new transformers, did the drop, put our box on our meter box and all that stuff on the wall, and did all that at no cost at all. And so we also put a whole new roof in. Our roof was like a R7. We raised it to about a R30. So it helps as well, because when we start talking about clean energy, green energy, we also talking about saving dollars. In municipal government, it's about saving dollars. If every dollar you save can be spent somewhere else. And so that's the system that you see laid out. They did the layout, they calculated it out. I'm not smart enough to talk about all the calculations and everything, but if you ever want me to bring somebody from Straight Up Solar, Tim Michaels, who's the guru of clean energy stuff, he's been doing it since 1976. He'd be happy to come up here, but you better give him about an hour and a half. Because he has a lot to say. But he's one of the smarter guys on this stuff. But that system that they put in, we save anywhere from 38 to 48% on energy costs. 38, 48. Most of the time it's between 38 and 42. But we've seen it get as high as 48%. We haven't had a bill over $1,000 since they put the system in. And for the first 3 months, we didn't get an electric bill at all. For the first 3 months, we didn't get an electric bill at all. Not at all. And we haven't seen a bill over $1,000. And that's with 25 and 30 people upstairs and we downstairs and events being held and everything else. And and, it's done a great job for us. The reason that I was talking about the way they went through and looked at the budget and everything, this system ended up being put in, budget neutral and cash positive. It immediately started giving back. Not because it was, that Ameren was paying us money. It was money that we weren't having to spend. That's what's important for municipal government, not to send dollars out the door because you get so few of them in the door. Our budget is already razor thin. We didn't have money in Beverly Hills to do any of this at all. In fact, near the end, and that's why it's good to have an owner's rep, like somebody like a Hillary O'Gurende. They came in and wanted to do a change order. The change order was only for $1,806. And Hillary O'Gurende, you would have thought they said 18 million. She fought until they ate that $1,800. She said, they don't have any money. They told you that when you came in, they didn't have any money. She said, they don't have any money. You're gonna have to find it somewhere else. And, they were able to eat that cost. But it didn't cost the city anything. Because of that, we had other monies that came from some other things, some settlements from some different class action things that we had went into with the cable companies. And because of that, we were able to do, I don't wanna bore you with that stuff. We were able to, buy all new furniture, all new cubicles for the office spaces. And the guy that did it, he was a 30-year guy. He found us brand new stuff that was gonna be closed out. I ain't care nothing about it being closed out, but the cost he gave it to us for was one. But I'm saying all that to say that clean energy is important. Doing green and clean, renewable energy, all those things are important, but it doesn't mean anything to municipal government unless it saves your budget. Your budget is what you're trying to save. If we can do all of that, I'm working now with another cohort that I'm in, elemental cohort out of Honolulu, Hawaii, trying to get some EV charging stations at City Hall and trying to get those put in. So we're working on getting things done. Sometimes people move too slow. I try to find people that's moving a little faster, a little quicker, so we can get these things done. The sooner we get these things done, the better we are at saving our planet. But I'll stop there. There is, I didn't get to put this on, but that we had, this is the scope of work. I'll pass it around and you can look at it, that it didn't, all the renovations didn't cost us what I thought it was. I thought it was gonna be over $1 million and it wasn't. And, because they bought that system back, it made it even better. But I'll stop there. Anybody have any questions? There's also a copy of what they printed out as far as the budget and things of that nature. Anything technical, I may not be able to answer, but I'll try.
Can you repeat the names of the?
Oh, I'm sorry. Here. That's me, yours truly. That's Hillary O'Gurende of Next Gen. She was a well, I don't want to say rock star. Rock stars actually hate us doing that. But she was great. She was excellent. She was really excellent. And then GRP Wegman, Eric Merker, he outstanding. He has a great demeanor. They whole staff have Robert Summers, Eric Merker, they have great demeanor, but straight up solar and balanced solar. GRP Wegman was the contractor. Next Gen. She was like an owner's rep, project, assistant project manager. We started out with Stiefel to buy the money that we needed to do this project. Stiefel kind of strung us out. And when they finally came back with an answer, they wanted to sell us less money at a higher cost. And I remember the conversation, I was on the phone, daughter, she was a junior in high school at the time. And she said, she heard me on the phone talking about buying money. When I got the phone, she comes in the living room, she said, why are you on the phone talking about buying money? I said, well, anytime somebody say, borrow money from a bank, that's what they're selling you, what's called a loan product. So they're selling you money. I said, what you have to find out and is whether that money is too expensive for you to buy. I said, $1 million is not $1 million. If I'm getting $1 million at 3.2 and somebody want to sell it to me at 6.3, then that $1 million is not the same money. So I have to decide whether that 6.3 makes a difference or not. And if it does, then that money is too expensive to buy. You leave that $1 million on the table and go look for it somewhere else. Well, that's what we did. We went to Simmons Bank, somebody we had a relationship with. They made it work, sold us the money we needed at the interest rate that I was trying to get about 3.7. I think we ended up getting it at like 4.2. But it still worked out. And so we got done what we needed to get done. But I hope that answered your question.
Yeah, I was gonna ask about the financing mechanisms. But
Yeah.
It was just a loan that you paid back with the savings.
Yeah, so this is the beautiful thing about the pro forma contract, the way it's written in the statute. If somebody takes that contract, then they have to guarantee the savings that they said you would get. And if because the savings is what's supposed to pay the loan back. If you come up short on the savings they said you would get from the system, on the energy, then they have to make up the difference so that you don't ever default on the loan. That's a beautiful thing.
Makes sense.
It makes everything in municipal government, and I don't know about in the industry wide, I'm just talking about municipal government, what we have to do is make it make sense. Whatever we have to do, we have to make it make sense, because you, John, the taxpayer, are gonna come in and say, why did you guys do that? People ain't gonna necessarily tell you what to do or what not to do, but if they come in and ask a question, you better have a good answer. My board was sold when I said it was gonna be budget neutral. They said, well, go ahead. It ain't gonna cost us more. We didn't spend any of Beverly Hills money on doing this. We didn't spend any of Beverly Hills.
That's amazing.
But we had monies that came in from these class action things that went on with something with cable companies or something. I don't know, somebody sent it. I signed on to be on it. And they came saying we had a check coming for $13,000, and I was excited. It helped us do some of the other things that we wanted to do. It get some of the bells and whistles in place. We got some other money come in, and we were able to build an auxiliary building for our overflow files, an 18 by 24 foot building that I also use to help young people. That we store our overflow files in. And so just it's us continuing to try to do smart things. And if we can do this across the board everywhere, continue to do smart things and teach other people how to do smart things. I work with some of the other mayors in 24-1 Municipal Partnership that don't know anything about solar. And it's hard bringing them to an understanding of why this is smart to do. They just can't wrap their head around it. And some people, something is too complicated for them to understand. So we need people. I can't bring a Tim Michaels in to talk to the mayors. He got that 60-story conversation for solar and renewable energy. You know, he'll come in with a whole, thermal energy, all that stuff. But any other questions?
Well, I do have a question, but I want to make sure we get to the ones online first. Jessica Gaines asked, did you have to do any other things with the building to help increase your savings, like insulation or anything with the building?
Yeah, so from the top, the roof, we took it from an R7 to an R30. You go from an R7 to an R30, you already helping yourself. The walls were insulated. All the walls were insulated before the wallboard went up, but the walls were so thick in some areas, that there was no insulation necessary. Even the flooring, we used a flooring that wasn't going to retain any moisture or cold or anything like that. All the doors are insulated. And so those are some of the things that we did. Also, all of the water conserving toilets and sinks. If you come and wash your hands in our sink, you won't touch anything. When you put your hand on it, it's not gonna be a free flow of water. It's enough water coming out for you to wash your hands. But when you flush the toilet, it's a one flush toilet. Not to talk about bathroom, but a lot of water is used in bathrooms. But we have it where water can't be left on, the toilet flushes once, the urinal flushes once. And then there's not a lot of water used. And so that's what we were lowering, the use of water. And so it really does amazing. It does an amazing job. And so that's that's some of the things that we did. And the thermal window, the insulated windows that we put in, and window coverings that we put in to make sure we keep the heat out, so we can keep it cool in the summer and we can keep it warm in the winter, which both my clerk and my intern, they're both cold natured, so they actually don't even have air on in the office space because they don't like air. Which works for me, so you'll keep a job a
Hey,
long
you don't have
time.
to pay for it.
Well, and we have another question, which I don't know if this might be a question for Tim Michaels. I did want to throw out, since you mentioned Tim Michaels and Straight Up Solar. Straight Up Solar did present at a 1STL Sustainability Lab back in November. So that recording is on our YouTube channel about the incentives available for solar. So he shared about direct pay, additional incentives in Illinois to make it even cheaper. So just wanted to throw that out there. But Kate's question is, can you explain a bit more about how the process worked for the provider to do the buyback of the system, or say more about how you finance the PV system and installation?
Yeah, so basically, GLP Wegman handled everything. And Straight Up Solar. Actually, the system was bought from Straight Up Solar. GRP Wegman, once the system was installed, I don't know how Straight Up Solar and Balanced Solar work together, but somewhere in that relationship, the system was bought back. So we gotta, just being the dumb mayor, I'd have to call Tim to get it technical or Straight Up Solar. So we got a $5,000 check from Ameren for the bid savers. Then we turned around and got a $4,000 check. A $4,000 check, which bought the system back.
What year was this?
That was 2020? 2020? 2021? I know it's a date on something. Oh, no, this ain't my computer. It's on one of them. I want to say it's 2021. I want to say 2021. Dates on anything. But 2021, I want to say. That's right. So they went back to 2020. Yeah, so we started this and we really started talking about it in 2017. And then we went all through 2018 trying to find the money. Everything was being put in place in 2019. So between those times is when a lot of things went up. And I would have to pull a lot more stuff. Which I may have.
That's okay.
Yeah, but wish I could have actually been more technical and been more exciting, but the teacher went first, so. You know, you'd have to beat the teacher. I hope that answered the question. Any other questions? Because I know I'm on my way out of time.
There are a few more questions. I think we've got time for one more, and then maybe we'll save the rest for the end, just to make sure that Justin has time. The next two are about the financing. So if you need to defer these, that's completely fine, but they are let's see, think you were able to do the system without any cost to the city for the solar. Could you speak more to how you were able to do this? For example, did you finance the system and the electric bill savings essentially cover the loan payments, i.e. the loan period matches the payback period?
No, so, the pro forma contract, the deferred maintenance, all that, but you're able to borrow money against that. And I think it's just for government. I don't think it's for people with homes or anything. It's something that have to do with what we could do as municipal government. It may even be something for nonprofits or for schools or whatever. But once those systems went in, we paid nothing else. We paid nothing else. So the money, the $5,000 was just being in the Bid Savers program. That money went straight into our bank, so we didn't pay that to anybody. We never received an invoice from anybody to pay anything for anything that had to do with solar or anything else. When the $4,000 check came, it went straight into our bank. So all we pay is the bank back. Now, the money that's generated from us leasing out the community space, that money is a part of what structured the loan. So we were able to project that we'll make about $20,000 a year off of that, leasing that space. And people come, they have birthdays, they have repasses for funerals, they have bridal showers, baby showers, other events they may have there. It only holds about 100 people. We calculated that we make about $20,000. So that went toward that. And we estimate we pay roughly about, I think it's like $3,000 a month on that loan. And so our savings are much more than that. So with what we save on water, with what we save on utilities, helps us make that bill along with us leasing out that space. So that's where that amount comes in, where it's only money that we never would have been getting anyway. So that money is coming in, it's money that we wouldn't have been getting because it wouldn't have been any renovations. It wouldn't have been any solar to save on the electricity. Wouldn't have been no renovations to save on the water, so we use very little gas at all, but.
Well, and we might have more time to
Yeah,
address some.
and I might not be
questions at the end,
technical
but,
enough, and I apologize
No.
if I'm not technical enough. I'll get smarter.
This is great information. And yeah, Justin, if you don't mind, the microphone is there. So I just want to switch so they can hear you.
There we go. We can play musical chairs.
Like they gave me the one.
There you go.
You can stay there though. Yeah.
Oh.
Yeah. Oh,
He'll
yes.
say something smart.
I hope so. I got a hard act to follow up, y'all.
Oh, and
Yeah, we following the
if you
teacher.
advance this,
Oh.
that's your 2-pager.
I don't need this.
Oh, okay.
I'm sorry.
That's okay.
Well, we can leave this here. I don't think anybody wants to look at just purely me. Hello, everyone. My name is Justin Eidelberg. I'm a member at Monument of Faith in Jennings, Missouri. As you heard the mayor say, out there in that great place called North County. And I want to talk to you all about not just the savings that comes from solar, but also the impact that it can have. And even more so, an initiative that we have is called Genesis Green, which is about connecting and working with faith-based organizations to help them be what they are designed to be, which of house of healing, transformation, and creating the type of change in which they want to see in their spiritual life. And I really wish I could talk to you all, I could show you all outside of what you're seeing. We're going to talk about this past spring, my church worked with a group of students from Washington University to co-create, to see what size system, what we need with the federal, with the Inflation Reduction Act that's coming, well, that is out now. We are sitting in St. Louis, North St. Louis County, some parts of Franklin County, places like Dutch Towns, Deep South City, the West Side, are a part of something that's called the Justice 40 communities. And the Justice 40 initiative is where 40% of all these billions of dollars from the Inflation Reduction Act goes into high poverty areas. And looking at that and trying to be ahead of the curve and not try to miss out on much, because disenfranchised communities usually don't get access to these funds. I don't know if you all are aware, but our nice state is sitting on like $151 million right now, and it's going to go towards residential and mixed use for people to put solar, but there's no really designated funding outside of like tax credits for faith-based organizations. So very much like the mayor, how do we get ahead of the game and figure this out? And this is what made one of our elders at the church, elder leaders, reach out to Washington University to figure out what would be necessary to create like a feasibility study and a report. Thank you. And
Is this what you're, okay.
Yeah, on page 15, on page 15.
And actually, so they can't see that online,
Oh,
but do you
I'm
mind if
sorry.
I just reshare?
Yes, if you all give me a hot second, we try to get y'all to.
No, I had it.
So Justin, your work's ongoing right now, is
Right,
that
so
accurate?
we're about to launch in August, the actual initiative, not August.
I was gonna say, sir.
I'm sorry. We're gonna actually start the Genesis Green Initiative in October 15th. And the initiative is where we have an application process to work with churches that are 6,000 square feet or less. And we're going to supply them with a heat pump.
Oh,
Free of charge. We're looking for students, like students that may go to Rankin, or contractors who would be willing to do the work for learning or for, tax write-off purposes. And we're looking for, I think it's gonna be a total of 4 faith-based organizations. Like I said, they have to be 6,000 square feet or smaller. And they have to be a Justice 40 community, North County, North City, the west side of the city of St. Louis. Believe it or not, places like Sullivan, Missouri is a part of this. We're going to do it free of charge, but at the same time, we want the faith-based organizations to come do some workshops to help them understand the importance of, first and foremost, why we're doing this, outside of energy burdens and energy efficiency, not solely just so you can be the prima donna of churches or faith-based organizations. It is not, and I want to make sure I highlight this, it's open to all faiths. It's not just churches. But we want to make sure that everyone gets access and understanding to why you need to do this. And we would hope that they would share this with the communities in which they sit in, as well as their members in their churches. Because in a lot of our communities, churches are gathering hubs. They have a lot of resources and access. So how do we help make sure that they don't do this? And this is what made me come up with this. We've got some funding here. We're also going to be doing the same thing for residential, but I'm not going to talk about that portion of it, which as well starts on the 15th of October. But since we do have this backup, and I appreciate you, Anna, for providing this. As you can see, we're talking about rooftop solar And it's a 6 kilowatt system. And that's also the capacity that we have. Looking at, could you scroll down slightly?
Oh, it's.
Oh, I'm sorry.
yeah, you've got-
Oh, I gotta figure out.
Oh, it's my laptop. It's weird. You can scroll with 2 fingers on
Oh,
the trackpad, or
okay.
this might work too to scroll down.
Okay, I think the 2 fingers did it.
Okay.
Okay, there you go, ladies and gentlemen. You got the male version of Vanna White right now. So, as I was saying, if you look at the system's capacity, we're at 6 kilowatts. In our church, from what Richard Riley said, is pretty historic. It's been around, we've owned the church for over 50 years. And I don't know who owned it. I would guess it was a white-leg faith-based organization in Jennings before we did it. But nevertheless, we figured out like the numbers that we all want to know to make these things work. If, as you see on line 3, the estimated system cost without the Inflation Reduction Act tax credits is at $22,050. And if we do it, if we use the Inflation Reduction Act tax credits, you see it will cover up to 40% of the project. And as you all know, faith-based organizations don't have any money, like many Americans with all this high inflation. But if you look at the total cost, the total revenue over the system is at $39,000. And look at the total cost of system life, it's at $28,000. And even more so, to really talk to the dollars and cents, we would be saving like $1,000 or it's $1,200, I believe. Here we go. We would be saving $1,200 a year from our monthly cost, and our church is at roughly at 5,500 square feet. So very much like the mayor said, we're trying to get to where we have a very low bill, so we can use and direct those funds to other places. And for me, I shouldn't say for me because that's very selfish. For us at Mighty Men of Faith, it's very key that we help be the catalyst and not hoard the resources, and to be very, in a biblical sense, to share like Jesus did. And he took one loaf and fed a whole lot of people, right? How do we do that same thing in working with various other faiths, partners, contractors, and community members? Like the mayor of Jennings is very supportive of this. Ameren, very supportive in what we're on the journey to do. And I think that's very key when you're talking about doing partnerships and co-creating change that not only impacts the community, but also impacts institution within inside of a disenfranchised community. And for me, I just want to heal the world. I want to help alleviate any type of pain, stress that's on mothers, children, or elders. And like I said, just trying to be more like Jesus and do what he did to help people. We're in some rough times right now, and how do we take full advantage of? It's not often the government says, here, let us give you all some money. And even more so, we're working with a nonprofit that helps faith-based organizations and other nonprofits do the finance. And from our last meeting, they spoke of, I told them I want to see it, for us. You can talk about how it works in Virginia, Florida, and everywhere else. But from what the presentation that they gave us, they were like, it'd be at 7% interest for the financing. I'm not in banking, but if it's anything like the interest rate on a house, I wanted to go back, like the mayor said, how can we get it at 3%? But not being greedy, looking at the state current place that we're in, how do we use that and get that to a lot of faith-based organizations? And I'm here about sharing the information. So how do we bring all these people together for them to be a part of this presentation to learn about this? And we're not here to say, you got to give us a 10% admin fee. I'm not here for any of that. My pastor, whom I most definitely, I think I've been disrespectful and not mention her name, is Reverend Bethany Johnson Javois. She wants to spread it. you know, I'm just a humble servant out here doing the work. Cause, yeah. Cause think about, I look at how the Urban League, I think about the United Way and some other Catholic charities, they pay a lot of utilities. They don't pay faith-based organizations. So, you know, that usually comes from the people that sit in those pews. How do we help lessen those burdens? Because when I go to my church, I see women, I see fathers, I see grandmothers, and I want to do everything in me to take all that pain away, that stress, that anxiety away from them. And I don't know what else I can really talk to. I can keep talking to you all. I like to talk.
Can you speak to the heat pump part of this?
So to what level?
Just, is the heat pump tied into the solar? What's the relationship between
So
your
the heat pump.
renewable energy source?
So what you're looking at is an electrification report. And so we want to look at everything in the church that runs off gas, even the microwaves. The students even looked at a microwave, which we know doesn't run off gas. But we have a boiler that's been in operation since 1954.
Mm.
And so just think about that. You know, boiler, I'm telling this to you all. The last time I seen a boiler, where I live in West St. Louis, we have some homes that were built by Theodore and Link, so we know how long ago that's been. And those ones are humongous, right? So to actually see one of these in a church and to see how the church has maintained them, they got some new stuff on there I've never seen. So that's where the heat pump comes in, you know, to take out that old gas. No knock on Spire, but you know, they're continuously going up on our rates. So how do we take full advantage of the resources that's out here, as well as those technologies, to make sure that the church is up and modern and takes away that high cost from paying two bills? Does that answer your question?
It does.
Are there any other questions for Justin? I just wanted to confirm a few things. I had a question and I think I lost it, but just to confirm, you are looking for faith-based organizations to install a free heat pump?
Yes,
Okay, that's awesome.
yes. So they're gonna go through workshops. They're gonna go through workshops to learn about not just, you're here to get this free heat pump installed, but to learn what electrification is, to really talk about what energy burdens are, what really energy efficiency is, and how, what does that look like for you and your congregation. And we're not here to help you create a report like this, because the students that put this and the software that's needed, we don't have those resources. But we do want to help you understand how and why this is needed, and how and what does this look like for you all. So you all can be like, I think the children's story, the Pied Piper, you know, we don't want any rats to follow us, but you know, we want people and other faith-based organizations and homeowners to get on board. And this is the only way I know to do this, you know, to help educate people. And when next spring comes, next April, we're going to be looking to actually have like one big community day where we might be at 5 different sites here in the region, and to come back and have like a big meal. And like I said, it's going to be free to them.
And that's through Genesis Green.
Yes, that's the name of the initiative, and we'll be sharing that information. Like I said, we launch it on the 15th of October.
That's very cool. And it seems like a few other organizations have worked with WashU too to do similar analyses with so is that their sustainability team, Phil Valco, that you work
So
with?
Phil Valco, he's gonna slap me, Griffin Knib, and a nice young lady named Froggy, I cannot remember her name.
Van Ripper.
Van Ripper, thank you, sir. Those people have been very instrumental in these works and some of the other works that Cabinet District CDC has been doing and is working on. They've been very helpful, because without them, where does disenfranchised communities and organizations get access to? I'm not being funny, and they did not pay me to say this. You know, they got that nice new initiative in St. Louis for St. Louis. To me, while she was really showing that with their student capital as well as their professors' capital. And also doing something that has a communal return that we all can see. So,
Well, they have billions of dollars in endowments. I'd like to see them give some of that money out the door. For some of the stuff that we need to do in the community. I met with them for months and months, that they were trying to give money out the door for projects in North County. They had billions of dollars in endowments, but that's when they started, then they built a lot of new buildings, so, so they may have went away.
No, they still got it.
Yeah, they said they wanted to spend it.
They invested.
that's a conversation I can't talk to. I
Well,
wasn't.
we can go in there together and try to get it again.
Hey,
I have a question. So is Genesis Green just Monument of Faith or?
no, that's just the name of the initiative.
Okay.
Once we start the application process, it'll grow
Okay,
into it and evolve into what it is that they want.
sort of coalition building.
We have a coalition building so others can get this funding
Yeah,
and do what they need to do if they so choose.
right on.
Look, that's gonna be like a little bit like Moses. I don't have the 10 Commandments, nothing like that, but you know, come on, little sheep, you know, I'm not a ram or anything like that, but yeah, I just want people to come along.
Great.
So, and we do have one last question. Will insurance cover any weather-related damage to the panels? Mayor Jackson or Sarah, do you have to?
Yeah, our building insurance, as long as it's attached to our building or on our property, they'll cover it. They'll cover it. Even if we put in, EV charging stations at City Hall, our insurance will cover it because it's attached to the bill. Now, let me say that as a disclaimer. This is what our agent said. You call it in to corporate. Yeah, if anybody's seeing anything different, let me know so I can call our agent.
It's a standard price.
Oh, okay. Well, he told me to make it simple for a simple mayor. He said, if it's attached to the building, then it's covered in your building insurance. Okay? All right.
Can I ask, did Forsyth do any, part of what I love about the Beverly Hills story is the efficiency that went with the investment in renewables, because otherwise you're trying to boil the ocean, but only in this case with solar panels. Did Forsyth do any envelope improvements or other structural changes to the gym
Before,
along with or before or after solar panels?
I know we got a new roof put on because the life of the asphalt roof was gonna be near, so they needed to do that before. I don't know anything about the installation or anything else in the envelope. Besides, I mean, they did, all the lights in the gym are now LED.
That's an
So that
example
was
for
a
sure.
huge, for a gym.
Yeah.
So that was great, but I don't know about the envelope. I don't think there was any,
Oh, yeah.
but we haven't had any new renovations at all, like on our campus. I mean, we're old homes that are like, 100 years old or more. And well, yeah, they're around 100 years old. And so there's been improvements in other buildings, like the windows I mentioned. But they're really hard to maintain, old houses are tough. And boilers, like we have boilers in some of our basements and.
And that's interesting. So over the past year, I've been talking with faith-based leaders that are on the west side and some in like North County. And a maintenance bill on some of these boilers are $18,000. That's just to fix a problem. That's a lot for when you make, I would hope that you have a congregation of 100 people or more. One of the many things I learned about the Presbyterians were they have endowments, like building endowments. And that's how like I said, I live in West City, St. Louis, and that's how a lot of the Presbyterian churches keep everything done by those endowments. But I don't know if they can use that money to go anywhere else, but $18,000 to fix something that could break in another year or two
Yeah.
I most definitely want to help them because churches and faith-based organizations as a whole help the community out a whole lot more.
I worked with one of the boilers. I came from old church right there at 4449 Redbud down in the city. And so I was the one that fire up the boilers early in the morning to get the church warm.
Yeah, you gotta mess with them, what they call it, when you gotta mess with them
Yeah.
radiators, you gotta bleed
You gotta
them.
bleed.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
You gotta
Yeah.
bleed it, you know.
They're not knocking and everything.
And then you hear it clanking through those pipes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But when it get hot, it's hot.
You take the first coat off or that north face off, you don't be.
The other thing, I pulled up a picture of our solar, the system that they put in. And I don't know if they pulled up the amperage, all that kind of stuff. But it's just, what I was impressed about, it's just one switch. You have to wait for, Ameren has to energize, they let you know when you can energize, you can't turn it on until they say so. They won't let us, now, there was something going on at the time, they won't let you sell energy back to them. So if you produce so much energy, that it's overflow, they're not buying anything back. So they had you put that system in. And I guess, is that what the Beer Savers program is all about? They sent a guy in to sit with us to go through all of the technical stuff. I was just sitting there as the mayor. I didn't know a thing of what they were talking about, but it was the engineer and Straight Up Solar, I think, was there, and the guy, couple guys from Ameren. So they was going over all the calculations and the numbers and what the system was supposed to produce and all of that. And so that became that week. So that all worked out. But I wish I had more that I could say about the all the LED lighting. Is another one that we did all the way through. We did get credits back for the windows, for the water heater, for the system, you get very little for the doors, but we got monies back for different things, for energy credits and stuff like that.
And I just wanted to share really quick, we have a lot of resources at onestl.org for this about Ameren's Biz Savers incentives. This is a little bit of information about how houses of worship can take advantage of direct pay for schools. And then there's also a tool available where you can put in your project for either electric vehicles, charging infrastructure, solar, wind, or geothermal, and it can help find resources for direct pay for you. So just wanted to mention that this is at onestl.org. If you click on our climate action plan on our homepage and then funding and incentives. I know we're coming to the end of our time, but Justin, was there anything that you wanted to share with the report? And we can also share that out afterwards to Zoom participants too.
Yeah, if I can be of help to any of you all, don't hesitate to reach out to me. I have an office at the Delmar Divine, the old St. Luke's Hospital. You can just pop up and the ladies at the front desk will help you find me, or I'm walking around somewhere engaged and laughing with people. And if I can answer Bobby's question real quick, it does cover the church building, and you would have to utilize both programs. But the state will be releasing sometime next year, hopefully, the application for the Solar for All program, and you could use Solar for All funding to do the solar on the senior. Is the senior building senior housing? Because if that's for senior housing, you could use the Solar for All funds to do that, which is, they say it's going to be a forgivable loan. So
Who's they?
Yeah, it's the senior building and the church is on the same property. And they're owned by the church, so that's kind of what I was asking.
So yes, you would just be doing it, you just have to fill out 2 different applications
Okay.
for 2 different programs, but yes.
See you later.
Well, thank you so much, everyone. I'm sorry that we just had a great conversation and a lot of great questions. So sorry we're a little bit over time, but really wanted to thank our speakers again, Mayor Jackson, Justin, and Susan. And we'll see you all on October 29th for the next lab. Thank you so much for everyone joining
That
online.
was great, y'all. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you. Have a great day.